Today I'm going to show you how to take a photo mask, a halftone image, and apply it to a black piece of granite. We're going to apply the mask, we're going to sand carve it, and then we're going to add a paint and highlight application to this image. But before we apply the mask, we're going to clean the surface. I'm using spray away glass cleaner. You can also use alcohol. I'm going to take my napkin and clean the surface. Now at this point, the stone is ready to have your application. You're ready to apply your mask. Now if your stone is cold, or if you wanted to add a higher tack, a bond to the mask, to the surface, take your mini plumber's torch and just heat the surface up. And this is great, a great tip if your stone is cold, if it's winter time and you're dealing with cold weather, you want to heat the stone up. And what happens with the heat and when you apply that mask, there's a greater bond that happens to the surface here. And this is a handy tool as well if your stone is wet. You can just run this over with a mini plumber's torch. And this is good right here. So I'm going to turn this off. This is somewhat warm to the touch. Now I have a backing here, and this is called our cover paper. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this down about 1 inch. And the reason why I'm doing this is I'm going to line this up to the top here of my granite piece. So I'm just going to kind of line it right up here at the top. And this is a helpful tip here. By not removing the whole cover paper, what happens is it gives you more flexibility with your masking and repositioning it. So if you don't like where it's at, you can just lift up that top inch part and then realign it. And especially if you have a large photo, you would want to only expose 1 inch and then keep the backing on just like we have here. So now I have it where I want it. I'm going to take my squeegee, I'm going to kind of squeegee this down. Now I'm going to remove my backing slightly. I'm going to bring it down a little bit. And then I'm going to start to squeegee my mask. Bring it down a little bit more. Try to move any air bubbles to the outside of the halftone image. Now I'm using pressure when I squeegee the mask. So I want to make sure that all my dots are nice and secure to the stone surface. Okay, we're almost done here. Remove it completely, and now I'm just going to really apply pressure with my squeegee to secure the mask to the stone surface here. Okay, well, this looks good. Now I'm going to take my squeegee and I'm going to kind of flick the corner to separate my clear carrier here. You can already see it separating. Okay. So now I'm going to start to pull this back, and as I pull it back, I'm going to squeegee and peel it back a little bit more, then lay it back over and squeegee. And the reason why I'm doing that is because the clear carrier can lift up the masking slightly. So I'm re-squeegeeing the mask back down to the stone surface. And we want to make sure all these little dots are nice and secure to the surface. because we will be sandblasting it. Okay, so now instead of applying this back over the mask to re-squeegee, because the clear carrier could want to lift up the mask, I'm going to take my cover paper, the shiny side, and place that back on my photo. Then I'm going to give it one last squeegee, just removing any wrinkles or air bubbles. Now for some reason, if you still find that you have some wrinkles, you can roll them out with your finger. I don't want you to rub, but I want you to take your finger and just roll out any of the wrinkles. If you rub, you have the potential to lift up dots. And sometimes they don't lift up right away, but as soon as the sand hits it, that dot could pop right off. So this looks good right here. Now we're going to tape it. And I'm going to use my Sandblast vinyl tape. And I'm going to leave the border on this design here. Tape the top. I'll add another piece of tape to the top here just to make sure it's covered. One more strip on the side. Great. And you do want to kind of make sure that your tape is pressed down, especially on the edges. Okay, and this looks good. So now you have your mask that's nice and secure to your stone surface. And now we're going to put it in the sandblaster and sandblast it. Okay, I placed my granite piece inside a self-contained blasting cabinet. I'm using a pressure pot system, and I'm blasting between 30 and 35 pounds of pressure. I'm using aluminum oxide 150 grit. Now you can use a range of 220 grit to 150 grit for photos, and you can also use silicon carbide as well as aluminum oxide. So let's go ahead and get started here. Now first, we're just going to pass over this quickly just to kind of set the film. Now once that membrane is blasted off, your film is kind of set already onto the surface. So now let's start at the top, and I'm going to do a nice pass over my image here, and I'd like to do one pass over the other. I'm about 6 to 8 inches away from the mask. And I'm trying to keep at a 90-degree angle the entire time over the whole photo. So nice steady hand from the top to the bottom of the photo. Now we're not going for depth here, we're just doing a surface etch, just enough for the paint to fill and for the paint to hold into the etched area. All right, now I'm going to come back up. Now if you notice on the photo, the jacket is a very dark area, and at the end of my blasting the photo, I'm going to kind of go over the jacket just to try to open up some of those dots. Again, I'm trying to do one pass over the other for a nice consistent blast. And once I'm done with this pass here, I'm going to change my pattern here. I'm going to go to a different angle. So now we've been going side to side. Next, we're going to go up and down. Okay, so now we're going to go up and down. Again, trying to keep my nozzle straight on at a 90-degree angle. By changing the direction of my blasting pattern, I'm able to kind of blast some areas that I could have missed when I was blasting side to side here. And we're just about done. We're not going for any depth, we're just doing a surface etch with this photo. And I'm blasting again about 30 to 35 pounds of pressure using 150 grit abrasive. Okay, so now I'm just going to kind of do a circular pattern over the jacket here. Just going to try to open up those dots, spend a little bit of time there. And I'm just going to kind of go over my border one more time. And now at this point, when you feel like you're done, you need to kind of look over your photo. And you need to make sure that there's not any area that you missed, that there's no polished areas. You just want to inspect your photo before you paint it. I have my image here that's already been sandblasted, and there's a residue of abrasive and dust on my granite piece. So I'm going to take an air gun, I'm going to clean it off. Okay, so now that it's clean, I'm going to take my cover paper and I'm going to kind of cover this side of where my text will go, or my epitaph will go. So I'm going to take my tape. I'm just going to kind of cover this to protect this side of the stone from the paint, or from overspray of the paint. I got one more piece of tape to add at the bottom. All right, so now we're ready to paint this. Now we're using a monument grade paint. It's called White Highlight. It's a stone tone paint. That's the brand, Stone Tone. And I'm using a pressure pot system to paint. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of just test my paint here. I'm going to kind of do some strokes over my image here. I'm going to kind of do it at a different angle. Just going to kind of make sure it's all covered. So I'm going to stop and take a look at it. All right, so we're just going to leave it. This looks good. We're going to let it dry, and then we're going to clean it up. So now we're going to remove the tape, kind of loosen it from the stone here. Okay, there are two ways to clean the masking off the stone. You can use a squeegee, and you can start to use that squeegee to remove that mask. And the benefits of using a squeegee is you're not going to scratch the granite or dig up any of the paint area. You can use a razor, but if you have it at a wrong angle, you can lift up some of that paint or scratch the granite. And some of this is going to come off in a large strip. This will come off in one large piece right here. All right, so now I'm going to take some glass cleaner. I'm going to go over this photo here. I'm just going to take some paper towels, just going to kind of wipe it clean. And there you have your photo engraved on a black granite stone, painted with highlight paint.